also just tape some of these and then just run them underneath. Oh, you do have. Yeah, I saw that one. I'm gonna go with my number one till nine. Because I have a feeling that might be just off. Because we went through that sheet.
Sold.
How you doing?
Would help if I turn it on. Yes. Time of day. Yes. If you send lights back to the station, they will have. Joe, can you do me a favor and do a check with up there? Yep, I hear you. We're good.
How are we doing? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Where's Bart? He was also in here, but you made sure.
Yes, sir.
I wanna, if he was planning on leaving, I want to.
Yes, sir.
You.
Perfect. Thank you much. Bye.
This, everybody hear this? This better? Is that decent?
Yeah.
That's too loud.
I can hear you. Yeah, I'm still gonna work off. You wanna go again? Everyone's got my good check? Sounds, yeah, sounds good?
Chief, can you hold that white piece of paper up for a quick wipe down?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
I like the sweater.
Thank
So I
you.
got so many Sasquatches in my office. It's unbelievable. So,
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
well, perfect. Well, I will. Do you want to? Yep, perfect. Well, welcome and thank you for being here. It's been several years since we've had the Blake decision came down, and we as a department have heard from community. You know, our officers have heard from the community about the need to address the growing drug usage in our city, and it's been a long road to get to this point. But I want to thank the mayor's office for working with stakeholders, including city council, to give us a tool to be able to address the drug usage issue. Today, that drug usage ordinance went into effect. I want to update you on the implementation of this ordinance. This morning, our officers connected with many people at 12th and Jackson and 3rd and Pike, providing education about the drug ordinance that was going into effect. We provided this education in Vietnamese, English, and Spanish. We had these flyers that we handed out to people. In fact, during the course of this day, we've had many people that had these flyers when we made contact with them. Officers began to connect with many people openly using drugs in these two areas of 12th and Jackson and 3rd and Pike. And here's what our officers encountered. We made 25 contacts. 15 of those contacts were referred and connected with a caseworker today. 2 of those contacts declined services altogether. And 10 of those contacts had disqualifying reasons for not being referred. Some it's because due to violence, due to certain other conditions, or certain arrests that was made today as part of that. Officers booked 10 people into King County Jail for the following reasons. 2 people had new charges. 1 had possession with intent to deliver. 1 had possession with intent to deliver and was in possession of a stolen firearm. 1 had a fugitive warrant out of California. There were 7 felony warrants for a variety of reasons, including rape, assault, domestic violence, a DOC escape warrant, and 1 misdemeanor warrant for assault. What's important to highlight is that we might not have had come in contacted had we not had this drug usage ordinance in effect. What was profound today was the community support our officers felt. People came up to the officers thanking them. We continue to ensure that we are going to be compassionate in our approach to getting people connected with services while still making sure our city's streets are safe for all of our residents. So this is a dual approach. We want to make sure that we're connecting people into services, but we also need to make sure that those that are harming our communities, those that are, also have felony warrants, that also have to address other crimes, we want to make sure that we are taking them into custody and also booking them in arrest, or making those arrests and booking them in jail. Open up to any questions that might have.
You talked about the community response, and you said this is only a portion of the process. Many community members will say, great, these arrests, getting them off the streets, but how long before we see them back? How do you address those concerns?
Well, we've actually, out of those 15 referrals, 2 did decline. We did investigate and release them. We do request sometimes charges by not the King County Prosecutor's Office, but the City Attorney's Office. So we are going to still request charges for those, for the drug usage ordinance. But we also want to make sure that we're connecting people into services. This is not about arresting people, everything. We want to make sure that people are hoping to take those services. Right now, we know that 13 people were connected with a case manager. And that is really what's important for us, is making sure that maybe people have this opportunity to be on the road to recovery because of this drug usage ordinance. And that's our hope.
When will we see another type of sweep like this take place? Will it be in the same location, or are you looking at other area hotspots?
I want to be careful of using the word sweep because this is not a sweep. This is really getting people into those services. We are hoping to do this several times a week, and we're hoping that we get more and more people into services. That's our goal. And yes, we are going to come in contact with people with new charges, warrants that are outstanding, and that is something that actually will help them make our city streets safe as well. 12th and Jackson has been an area that every single day I drive by this location each and every morning. I go through it just to see how activity is actually happening in this city, and sometimes there's 150 people there. I listen to those businesses that are impacted by all this type of activity, and many of them have had to close their doors. So we've got to be able to support those businesses and the activity. Plus, there's also a school there. Every single morning, kids coming to and from school, and so we are trying to make sure that those kids are safe as well. So we're going to continue this for a while. We're going to have several different what we refer to as operations that are going to happen every single week, hoping that we can create some level of behavior change that'll help out, impact the people that are out on in the streets.
So Chief, you said this, just to clarify, every single week. That's the plan for now?
That is our plan.
With regard to kind of touching upon the fact that you said that there were 7 felony warrants, people rounded up 7 felony warrants. I mean, what do you think the impact will be on community safety week after week if you keep finding people with those warrants and they're brought into custody?
That's the whole. That is one of the ultimate goals: making sure our city is safe, making sure that our city streets are safe. We recovered somebody that had a rape warrant, an escape warrant, domestic violence. These are all violent crimes that harm our community. So being able to actually take them into custody and being able to support the community in that fashion, the more we do this, we know that we're going to end up. We recovered somebody who had a stolen firearm as well, possession with intent, and not just a little bit of narcotics, not the stuff that you would use on a normal usage, but being able for people that are actually delivering to the community. And so these are steps that are going to help us get these areas safe. We know that these areas have been impacted, that people don't feel safe. So I know that we're going to get to, and this is just 2 locations. Eventually, we are going to be able to have this expansion throughout our whole city.
What does the emphasis look like? I mean, what entails the contacts that happen? How does that work?
Yeah, so we'll have officers out that are just being a more visible presence, and people have been openly using drugs, feeling like that nothing's going to happen to them. That's the reason why we did an education component prior to this operation happening. We wanted to make sure that people had awareness that the drug usage ordinance was going to take effect. In fact, we had people that not only that when we made contact and were using, they had the flyer almost in hand with the actual information. So, this is really for us to making sure that we're balancing our approach, that we are educating people, but at some point we have to make those contacts and sometimes make arrests.
Does the department have the personnel needed to keep this goal of at least once a week, and could this potentially impact other service calls that those officers are on?
Yeah, so this did not impact our normal patrol operations. This was operated within our community response group. So we are utilizing a lot of resources. Even the education component, we used our alternative response teams and our crisis intervention teams to go out, or I should say our public outreach engagement teams, to do education. So we're using a variety of services that aren't impacting patrol right now. So we're trying to be creative and innovative, and that's the reason why we can't put this burden on patrol. But patrol will have some connections with making arrests and making contacts with people and referring people into services. So there is going to be more expansion into our patrol operations, but right now it was important for us to start with our community response group.
Chief, just to be clear about who you were saying would be charged under this new law, is it just those 2 who declined referrals, or is it all 15?
What we will do is we will write reports, and then we end up sending them out to our city attorney. The city attorney will make a determination for that. But if people are getting services, we're working with city attorney to ensure that people aren't getting charges pressed against them. That's the whole goal, is that we want people to get connected to those services. We want people to make sure that they're taking those services.
And so those 13 that were referred to caseworkers, they weren't arrested. Were they physically taken to a caseworker, or just what does that look like?
Yeah. So when we identified 2 things. So in the ordinance we have harm and no harm. So harm is if you're in a park or a public place, you're in a school environment, or you're in an area where there's a lot more people that can have a level of harm that's created. And the officer has 2 determinations. 1, you can make an arrest. 2, we can make a connection to a referral to our, what we're referring to as lead. We are taking that person, we are connecting with them, we're taking that person to the precinct, and then from the precinct, we're connecting them to the service. So it is considered an arrest by all of our accounts, but that connection at the precinct then gets them connected to a case manager, and then they're released out of our custody.
And so they're not booked into the jail?
They're not booked into the jail. If there is no harm, so they could be in an area, in a remote encampment, that they're finding themselves not harming anybody, then we can ask for a referral. We could ask for a social services to come out to that scene to be able to make connections with them, but we're not going to take that person into custody.
But everyone today at 12th and Jackson, and then I guess also
3rd and Pike,
downtown, these were all classified as instances of harm because they were in a busy place, or
because of the environment that they were in. So right at 12th and Jackson, we have a school, Summit School, that literally students are coming in and out of the school exposed to this, exposed literally at the bus stop as people are smoking fentanyl, and they're trying to either get off the bus and not be harmed, or getting onto the bus after school, and so there is a great deal of harm there. Just like there's a great deal of harm at 3rd and 4th and Pike, where you have people that are patrons that are using businesses that are impacted by this as well. So that is identified harm right away. Where you would see probably no harm is you might see in an encampment that there's no one that's actually active or visiting that area. But we still could get calls for service at those areas.
And in terms of the questions about doing this every week, making arrests every week, and expecting that some people will be referred to services, but some with warrants, et cetera, would be booked into jail. Does the jail have the capacity to deal with a number more of these arrests every week?
Well, they would already be taking custody of the people that we've actually booked today. So possession with intent, stolen firearm, these felony warrants from rape to domestic violence, they would already end up taking these people into custody, or they would end up booking them. So these are all things that the jail would have actually the capacity to be able to do. It's where the jail struggles is where when it comes to misdemeanor offenses, and that's the reason why there's a criteria for misdemeanor offenses for us.
Chief, you're talking about 3rd and Pike and 12th and Jackson. Can you talk a little bit about 23rd and Jackson? Is there a mobile precinct there?
Yeah, so we do have a mobile precinct after we just had a recent shooting that impacted the daycare, A for Apple, and a 47-year-old male that was hit with non-life-threatening injuries. But we wanted to make sure that we were putting out a visible presence in that area. So we're including our community service officers, our officers. We've actually had one of our, our community outreach officers that's been working with the students as well. And then I also met with a lot of the parents of the daycare center as well. So again, we're trying to make sure that our youth feel safe and being able to go back to school and being able to learn. And we want to create that environment. And so that's some of the things that we're already doing right now.
Chief, it's a really interesting picture you have here. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on? And I love that it looks like a little kid in is that a police car?
It is a police car.
Maybe where it's at, and just tell us, this obviously was one of the arrests, or maybe just tell us about what this picture is.
Yeah, so actually our officer has encountered a young person that was trying to provide backup to our officers. And actually drove their little car, remote car, to this location while the officers ended up making contact with somebody that was smoking fentanyl. And so again, part of this has been a different connection of community outreach and engagement that people have, expressed that level of support to say thank you for the officers being present. This area was located at 12th and Jackson, around the 12th and King area. And we were able to capture that, and I think it's just people want to feel safe. Our community wants to feel safe. Our kids that go into school want to feel safe. And we thank this young man for providing that extra support for us. But honestly, I think really what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're doing it in a compassionate approach. And so I think that the model that we have here is compassion. I mean, we are going to get people into services, but we're also going to address the safety needs as well.
Two questions. In relation to the officers who are engaging with the community members during these operations, body cam video will be on operational. And second, in relation to the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office yesterday making the announcement about hiring an outside firm for that January 2023, what is the department's response to an outside investigation looking over the department's own investigation?
Yeah, so the first to your first question, officers' body cameras are on all the time during their contact, so they're capturing a lot of things that are going on. So they're capturing the drug usage as well as as well as community contacts. So that is something that we always have present. The second thing to your question is we worked with the King County Prosecutor's Office in putting a case together that our traffic collision report, our traffic collision investigators put together. They want to make sure that they're doing everything that, as far as their due diligence on making sure that this case it can be, that they're evaluating every aspect of this. So they've asked for an outside provider to do that. That's a choice that they make, and we're at their will to see whatever they come out with their findings. If they come out with findings of charging or not charging, we'll make a more comment when that happens. But right now, we want to make sure that they have everything they need to making sure that investigation is complete and thorough. So thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thanks.